be strategic, be smart. Sometimes you don't need money to start. You just need business relationships.
Yes.
You need people that can connect you to the right people. You just need to have the right idea. If you can solve a problem, already your business has already started.
But you can't always sit on the fence.
Yeah.
And without a definite decision, like I always tell them, nothing is going to change.
That is so true, Debbie.
Welcome back to the Confident Alchemist Podcast, where bold women take the brave leap to build businesses and lives that they deserve. I am Debbie, and today I have someone with me whose story is going to resonate with anyone who ever felt the weight of family expectations while trying to find their own way. I'm here with Jessica Ramatsitsi, the founder of Ramatsitsi Attorney Incorporated, and her journey is absolutely fascinating. Not just because she built a successful boutique law firm specializing in labor law, civil litigation, but because of how she got there. Picture this. Jessica started university studying medical science because her father wanted her to become a doctor. She's failing, bunking classes, completely miserable because she's living someone else's dream. Then she makes a dramatic shift to law. Not because she always dreamed becoming a lawyer, but because she finally chose and followed her own instincts. But here is where it really gets interesting. After completing her articles and struggling to find employment, Jessica made a decision that most people would think it's crazy. She opened her own law firm right in the middle of COVID with just 600 Rand borrowed from a friend for fuel. What I love about Jessica's story is that it's just not about building a successful business. It's about a woman who learned to trust her own voice, who turned unemployment into opportunity, and who's created something that goes far beyond just legal services. As someone who has also had to learn how to trust my own path, despite external expectations, I'm excited to dive into Jessica's journey, the family pressure, the career struggles, the leap of faith, and how she built a practice that's about so much more than just getting the job done. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for having me. I'm very much honored to be here.
Jessica, let's start with something that a lot of listeners will relate to.
Yeah.
Family pressure around career choices. You initially registered as a medical student because your father wanted you to become a doctor. But you were failing and bunking classes because the passion wasn't there.
Yeah.
Take me back to that moment when you had to call your father and ask to switch to law. How did you find the courage to disappoint somebody that you love in order to honor yourself?
Oh, Debbie, I was terrified of making that first phone call to my dad. I understood the sacrifices that he made for me to get to school and for me to become the first family doctor. So there was a lot of pressure hanging on it. And how do I start the conversation? What do I say to him? How do I tell the man who's funding my studies that I cannot continue this journey anymore and I want to go a separate path? But eventually I said to myself, you know what? You have to be honest. And first you have to be honest with yourself. And you have to be confident on the path that you also want to take on. So that's what steered me to make the Facebook call. I called my father, and I remember that phone call very well. I said, Daddy, how are you? He said, I'm fine. I said, I have bad news. I'm like, what now? I mean, you've been telling me you've been failing. You've been bunking classes. What else could go wrong? I'm like, yeah, I'm about to drop a big bomb now. Unfortunately, I am no longer continuing with the studies. I don't want to be a doctor. I know you love this dream for me, but it's just not a dream that I have for myself. I want to be a lawyer. And I remember he paused for like a good 2 seconds and he said, well, if you're sure and if it's something that you think you'll be good at, by all means, Go do it. And I remember feeling this huge relief that thank God I have such a supportive father.
Yes.
He was not worried about the money he lost. He was more concerned about the future that I wanted for myself.
Yes.
And he was willing and ready to be supportive of that journey. So I made the shift. When I did, I communicated back. I said, listen, I'm going to become a lawyer and I'm going to be very good at it. I'm going to make you proud. He was like, listen, I trust you. I am betting on you.
Yes.
So ever since then, I never regretted, never looked back. Been the best decision of my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do find that, I also work with a lot of teenagers and, hearing what their future expectations is, I can definitely hear that the parents have a lot of say into their future.
Yeah.
So what can you tell future entrepreneurs, how to actually listen to the inner voice and pursue something that their parents or somebody else might not want for them?
Yeah. I can understand the conflict in a young person's heart, especially when you were raised by parents who love you and you adore them. And you want to make them proud.
Yes.
But at the same time, you still want to make yourself proud. So I think it takes a lot of confidence, like I said, to just trust yourself.
Yes.
That in as much as I don't know what lies ahead, in as much as I don't know if it's going to work out or not, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to bet on myself. So to young entrepreneurs, I would say you have nothing to lose. You haven't learned as much as you should. So you might as well take the risk, run that road and learn as much as you can. Yeah.
Beautiful. After completing your articles and struggling to find employment, you made what someone might call a desperate decision. Opening your own law firm during COVID with just 600 Rand borrowed from a friend. Most people would see unemployment as a problem, but you saw it as an opportunity to employ yourself. What was going through your mind when you made that decision? Were you terrified? Or was the fear of staying unemployed greater than the fear of starting your own practice?
I was definitely terrified, Debbie, to be honest with you. Every undergraduate, as soon as we graduate, we have this high hopes for ourselves. We see ourselves in corporates, doing great things, occupying powerful positions, leading people, making an impact in society. So the thought of being unemployed is way terrifying. Nobody wants to have a qualification and just sit at home and do nothing or just let it collect dust. It's heartbreaking. It tears your soul apart because that's not the hope you have for yourself.
Yes.
But what I decided for myself was that I don't like having a problem that doesn't come with a solution.
Oh, beautiful.
And being at the time that we were now facing COVID, we were level 5 lockdown. What I saw for most entrepreneurs at the time was they were capitalizing on the threat. People were dying.
Yes.
But there were a group of people that said, you know what? Death is going to be there. It's inevitable.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. But we might as well make money out of it. So we're going to sanitize certain institutions. We're going to sell some PPE. And business was booming at the time. It made sense. They capitalized on the threat. So now I had to reflect. Being one of the people that actually also took part in that capitalization during COVID, I was like, you can do much more with your law degree. Why don't you capitalize on your unemployment? Create employment for yourself. Provide a solution for yourself first. Because honestly, Debbie, nobody's coming to save us.
Beautiful.
You understand? The government is not coming to rescue us from our problems. We have to rescue ourselves. We need to sit down and figure it out. Can I come up with a strategy to solve my own problems? Can I empower myself and find enough motivation to keep on going? Because just starting is not enough. You need to sustain yourself. You need to find grace to keep going. And that requires a lot of motivation. And I'm just grateful that God gave me the grace to be able to find it and navigate through that journey.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And what would you tell the young entrepreneurs out there, that is maybe currently unemployed, but they have a true entrepreneurial spirit? How can we tell them and give them advice how to just start? Although it's not going to be perfect, although it might not work out for the first time, but how to make that decision to actually just start with something?
All right. So I'm a firm believer that entrepreneurship is a solution to unemployment. There's always something you can sell. All you have to do is figure out where you can source it, put your markup, put it out there, compete with other entrepreneurs. You have nothing to lose. I would say sometimes some businesses, you don't really need a lot of capital to start. Like you said, I started with 600 Rand that I loaned from a friend. And that money was just for fuel. I wanted to move from Limpopo to Gauteng and then go basically hustle with other people. We love to see hustling on the
Yes,
streets.
yes.
And I used that money, got to Gauteng, and I said to my brother, listen, can you please give me accommodation for just 1 month? Within that 1 month, I would have found a new client for myself, and I'll use those funds to start my business.
Beautiful.
That's how I funded my law firm. That's how I started. So I would say to young entrepreneurs, be strategic, be smart. Sometimes you don't need money to start. You just need business relationships.
Yes.
You need people that can connect you to the right people. You just need to have the right idea. If you can solve a problem, already your business is already started. So I would say be more insightful. Be excited. Inspire yourself to be more thoughtful. Be strategic. Read, research, consult. The people who've been in the industry for years, how do they do it?
Yes.
How did they survive all those years of hardship? Clearly, there's some jewels of wisdom they can pass down.
Exactly.
There's always someone with the solution, even if it's not you, but there's somebody with the solution. So don't be afraid. Go figure it out.
Beautiful. You've been very honest about the fact that the first 3 years of running your practice solo were the hardest of your life. You made mistakes, you suffered losses, and even started questioning if you actually made the right move. How did you push through those moments of doubt? What kept you going when everything seemed to be going wrong?
Oh, Debbie, first 3 years of running my practice, those were the worst years of my life. I'm not gonna lie. Anxiety had me by the chokehold. Depression was there. Imposter syndrome was also there.
Yes.
I used to doubt myself a lot. And I used to ask myself, why are you doing this? You hate yourself that much to just wake up and keep showing up to repeat the same things. But I had to remind myself, what was the vision initially? What inspired me to start? And I remembered I was solving my own problem, but it cannot end there. There's still community. There's still a whole country, a nation, a continent. There are more problems that the world is waiting for us young people to step into the light and solve them. So that's what kept me going. Whenever I was down, when I didn't have funds, I needed to encourage myself. Because sometimes, Debbie, people won't always have the power to encourage you.
Yes.
You understand? Your brokenness, sometimes you're the best person to understand it. So you have to tap inside. You need to reflect. You need to sit down. Speak with yourself. Speak to your soul. Who am I? What's my purpose? And the most beautiful thing about purpose is that it calls you out.
Yes.
And it will call you out even out of your frustration. It will call you out of your confusion. And it will give you a guiding light. This is the path. Walk in it. And you just gotta stay committed on it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
What really moves me about your practice is how you've positioned it as more than just legal services. You talk about building long-lasting relationships with clients, being the hand that holds them through the ordeal, creating impact that spreads to families and communities. Was this always your vision? Or did this purpose-driven approach evolve as you start building your firm?
It was always the vision. I've never wanted to just be a law firm. I wanted to be a household name. I wanted to be the lawyer that the father can say, to his wife, let's call Jessica. Jessica can help us 1, 2, 3, 4. We have kids. Let's call Jessica. Our children are in countries that are problems and our lawyers can assist. So that's always been my vision. And I believe that it's very rewarding when you have clients that can call you one day and say, Jessica, you have no idea. You just saved my life. Being able to resolve 1, 2, 3, 4 that I couldn't figure out on my own helped to steer me in the right direction. People struggle with peace, Debbie. Just as simple as that.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Legal problems take away your peace.
It does.
They take away your joy. Sometimes you doubt yourself. Are we doing the right thing? Are we in the right direction? Are we making the right moves as a business? And then sometimes having the right lawyer that not only just wants to solve your legal issues, but understands you as a person, understands the vision of your business, and we can pull out from that place. I think it's very rewarding. And that's what I wanted to achieve with our law firm.
Looking ahead, you have this incredible vision of playing adversary role in cyber law issues, not just in South Africa, but throughout Africa. You want to be a household name in legal services. What is driving this bigger vision? And what advice would you give the young entrepreneurs who have big dreams, but are still in the very early stages of building their business?
Debbie, I believe that young people should understand that there is a calling on our lives. from our country, from our governments, from the continents that we live in, to be the next beacon of light in the next coming years. And we should heed that call. And when I looked at my career, I realized there's so many fields. There's labor law, there's civil, there's family law, but cyber is still developing in South Africa and in third world countries as well. And it's so fascinating because there's so many aspects to it. There's data protection, there's cyber terrorism, cyber security, you name it. And most of those avenues have not been explored yet. And I think sometimes because most law graduates, they either feel like it's either I'm going to become an advocate or an attorney. There's no in between. There are no other options. And you'd be surprised. You can even become a bioethics lawyer. But people don't think about such positions. You can go work in a pharmaceutical company, environmental consulting company, and occupy such powerful roles that can steer legislation as well, that are effective. So I sat down and I said, you know what? I don't want to be a mediocre lawyer. I want to stand out. I want to charter parts that have not been chartered before. And cyber law was one of those parts. I started doing my research in it, and I found data protection very fascinating. And one of the things that I've noticed in South Africa is that there's a lot of recklessness on social media. We understand the right to freedom of speech, but we don't understand the responsibility that comes with it.
Or the consequences.
Rather. There's a lot of defamation of character lawsuits now coming out. There's a lot of revenge porn going on social media. People want to hurt each other by publishing such sensitive information. But that's where cyber lawyers come in. There's a huge market for it. And we can be able to show people by educating them of their rights. Cyber Crimes Act is out there now and in force. People don't know their rights in that act. And that's where people like me come into that space. And I'm very excited to occupy it.
That sounds so fascinating. So if you can give one piece of advice for the young entrepreneurs out there, planning to leave their corporate business to actually start something on the side, what would that one piece of advice be?
Listen, it's a sacrificial journey. All better off. You understand? And you either dive in or you sit outside and watch the show. So I don't like being a spectator. I'd rather take the risk of losing or failing at something than not trying at all. So if you have an idea that you want to pursue, take the risk. You have nothing else to lose. After all, life is too short. What else are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
If you're not taking risk.
Exactly that. I always say making that decision, because you can't always sit on the fence. And without a definite decision, like I always tell them, nothing is going to change.
That is so true, Debbie.
Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. What I found most inspiring about your story is how you've proven that sometimes our biggest setbacks, like family disappointments, unemployment, early business struggles, can become our greatest setup for success. Listeners, I hope Jessica's given you some powerful insights to think about today. Here are the key takeaways I want you to remember. First, it's never too late to choose your own path. Jessica had the courage to disappoint her father in order to honor herself, and that decision changed everything. Your authentic path might not be what others expect, but it's the only one that's going to truly fulfill you. Secondly, unemployment or rejection doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning. Jessica turned the inability to find a job into the opportunity to create her own. Sometimes the universe closes doors to force you to build your own. Thirdly, the first 3 years of entrepreneurship are supposed to be hard. Jessica's honesty about her struggles reminds us that success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it and keeping going anyway. Number 4, purpose-driven purposes create a deeper impact and a more sustainable success. When you focus on building relationships and creating transformation, not just transactions, you build something that will last. Here's what I want you to do after listening to this episode. Think about where you're actually living somebody else's expectations instead of your own truth. Are there areas where you're trying to please others at the expense of your own authentic self? If Jessica's story resonated with you, send me a message on my social media. and tell me what brave decision you are ready to make. I love to hear about your journey towards authenticity. Until then, remember what Jessica showed us today, that when you have the courage to disappoint others in order to honor yourself, when you turn setbacks into setups, and when you build something with heart and purpose, you don't create just a business, you create a legacy. Your authentic path is calling. The question is, are you brave enough to answer? Thank you for listening, beautiful souls. Keep choosing courage over comfort. See you next week for another dose of boldness, truth, and transformation.